Hey Donna fans, you're tuned in to the AFTERBUZZ TV after show for Ray Donovan, Season 4, Episode 7, Norman Saves the World. Join us as we break down the episode and give you our thoughts and predictions. Let's go!
You're tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AFTERBUZZ TV! And now, let the buzz begin!
Thank you.
Yeah, we can work from home, but Ray Donovan doesn't, and that's why we lead off with this song. Welcome on in, everybody, to the AFTERBUZZ TV after show for Ray Donovan. I am your lead host, Frank Maiorana. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Let's Go Frank M. I am joined by the lovely and talented Olivia Gabaree.
Hello, what's up, everybody? You guys can find me on Instagram and Twitter at @thereal_O_G.
And we want to thank you guys for commenting this week. I want to start off this week with our social media shout-outs. So we had some comments this week on our YouTube page, Olivia from last week's show, and I thought there was a really good prediction here from, this is from Unrepentant Snafu. That's the username.
That's a tongue twister.
That is a tongue twister. So Unrepentant Snafu said, I guess repercussions are a matter of time now. Does Sonia Kavitsky and employees find Belikov before the crate is shipped, or is it opened by his people back in Russia and find a big FU present from Ray? Does she get some payback for vouching for Ray? There's so much danger now. Mickey in prison, the home gun in the hands of Connor and not in the safe. So there's a lot that he's predicting here, and I thought some pretty good questions. So we didn't see anything tonight about the crate itself.
I was kind of upset about. I feel like they left out a couple of main things that I was seriously looking forward to figuring out a little bit further.
What was the other one?
The Connor situation with the gun, which we saw that they were included in next week's episode, but the fact that they left it out now is kind of
I did too. I was kind of hoping Connor would get in trouble and they'd take him away forever.
Of course you wanted that to happen.
Absolutely I do. Goodbye forever. But didn't happen this week. But thank you to Snafu out there for commenting. We also had a comment from Ron Miller, a much more traditional username. He says, Connor is going to shoot Damon accidentally. That's his prediction.
Oh gosh, I hope not.
Yeah. That's a good one too, though. I mean, when kids are playing with guns, accidents happen.
Yeah,
and,
of course.
I really like those predictions out there. So thank you guys for commenting on the YouTube page, and you can continue to do so or use the hashtag #ABTVRayDonovan out there on Twitter, and we will read your feedback at the top of every show. So let's get into the episode breakdown.
Yes.
Olivia, what stood out to you the most tonight from this episode?
I think that Ray's ability to stay calm during all of these situations has I feel like he just keeps his cool with a lot of different things. One being with his situation with Ed, how, he kind of was a little bit ahead of him. He knew what he was up to, but he just let it ride out, and for the better, apparently, so.
Yeah, this episode for me was probably the most fun I've had watching this show in a long, long time. I laughed multiple times during the episode. The Mickey gay, setup was really funny to see each, the way that each one of the Donovan brothers reacted to having to pretend that was Mickey's true
that cracked
orientation.
Me up.
I mean, they're so funny. They're like, oh. And and Bunchy said some line like, "Oh, I was proud of him."
Yeah, he was like, he's like, I thought it was kind of true. There's one situation up in Walpole, and I was dying laughing. Yeah. That was so funny.
And it cuts back to Terry, and Terry's just like,
I don't want to hear that.
Bug-eyed, looking at him like, okay, let's move on. So, I thought there was a lot of fun in this episode, and it kind of gets back to the Ray Donovan recipe, which is high drama, a lot of Ray and him trying to fix situations. But I also thought, watching this episode, that we kind of miss Ezra a lot. Did you feel that way too?
Well, I mean, yeah, and especially because Ezra got tied into the storyline, in this episode, so. Yeah,
some of the best moments from last season, actually, was when we got flashbacks after Ezra had died, and we saw how Ray and Ezra came out to L.A., and how there was such a big connection between the two, and we really miss him. I miss him as a character, right. And it's sad that he died, but I loved the whole storyline last year, but he comes up back in tonight's episode big, and we got revealed that there's another fixer that Ezra was working with, and that was the Texan, played by Stacey Dash, which is amazing because Stacey is just this like legendary actor of stage, film, TV, and we've seen a lot of cameos this season from super established actors. And for those of you who don't know, tonight we had a special guest star who played Sherman Radley. That would be Reginald Veljohnson, who is most famously known for being Carl Winslow on Family Matters. So if you get a chance, if you didn't know that, go back and watch that again. He looks great, as Olivia was saying before we went on. He's like, oh my gosh, didn't even look like him.
I know. Well, I was saying he doesn't look old at all, but it could have been that red lipstick and the gray wig
and
could have disguised it,
Yeah,
but I don't know.
I found it a little bit ironic that he's poorly, I guess he's performing in a sitcom, but acting as a cross-dresser and being a real life sitcom legend at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
It was super interesting. But to have Carl Winslow back on Ray Donovan was a funny moment for. Are you even old enough to have watched Family Matters?
Of course. Well, something, it was one of those that was like, it was on before school at like 6 or 7 in the morning.
Okay.
So I would like catch it. I know Steve Urkel and all that.
Okay. I don't know if this is beyond your scope, but I'm glad it isn't. I'm glad you understand
Good
that.
show.
Yeah, a great show, and obviously Ray Donovan is a great show too. So we had a lot of layers interacting here. So you have Ed Cochran, who I probably thought we saw a little bit too much of him tonight. I like
agree.
Hank Azaria as an actor, but his character is just so incredibly annoying
And very intense,
How do you mean?
I just feel like, he had me laughing in some situations,
Yeah.
but in other situations, don't you just feel like being like, shut up.
Yeah.
We heard enough of you, like, go away.
Yeah,
But,
and he's always like, he's kind of sucking up to Ray, but he's playing him the whole time.
oh, of course.
And he's saying, Ray, I really like us together. We're having a blast together. And Liev Schreiber is just so good in those moments. He's just quiet, like, what? Like,
That's what I
no,
mean. Like he sort of just rides the wave the whole time. Even when people are saying such nonsense to him, he's
Yeah.
kind of just like, are you done?
Yeah, exactly. Get over it. Get over the games.
He doesn't really react.
He doesn't play, along with Ed at all, even when Ray is largely dependent on Ed for the information about, the murder that took place by Sherman Radley. And I just want to reset the scene for everybody because there was a lot of plot so you can all understand what happened. So Sherman Radley killed a female co-star years ago. And it was covered up by a number of people, but then Ed shows up, and Ed has the file and the murder weapon, and then Radley hired someone else, who we now know was Ezra and the Texan, to get rid of the body. They have to figure out who did it, get the body, and then deliver this to the DA in exchange for Mickey to get out of jail. So that's a lot of plot to handle in one episode.
It is a lot. It's a lot to follow, and it's hard. You miss one little piece, and you're lost in the sauce.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You don't know
Lost
what's going
in the
on.
sauce. Yeah, I had to rewind it a couple times as I was watching it before we were recording this because you're right. If you miss a sentence, if you can miss something very, very key if you're not paying attention, which is also what makes the show really good.
Right.
At the same time. So I really like that. I really liked seeing Mickey in jail and trying to make it. Tonight's best scene for me was probably the one between Mickey and Ray on the telephone through the glass. I love that they were communicating, and Ray had a list of questions to help him understand what he had coming his way in terms of trying to claim that he was gay.
But I have a question. So in situations like that, do they not listen to the conversation, or they do?
Yeah, that I was thinking that too. I think all conversations can be recorded.
Right.
But that's a good question. That is a logic thing.
Maybe it's like just selective or something. I'm not sure, but
Yeah.
that's the whole time I was thinking. I was like, that's a little risky.
Yeah.
To be, exposing yourself like that. But.
Yeah, that's a fair point, and it may come up later. We obviously Mickey got through the gay request that he be in a protected portion of the jail, and I liked how they went about it. because they systematically work the system. So when systematically work the system, perfect sentence there. So obviously Mickey goes up to the guard and requests to be transferred to the Yay area, and the guard says that there's nothing like that, because it's officially not going to be a policy to separate inmates based on their sexual orientation, but obviously they do it anyway. So I thought to see the whole process of that happening, calling the kids, Connor almost screwing the whole thing up,
oh my goodness,
was really interesting.
Right, but what I thought was the craziest part of it was, so all of these people were on supporting Mickey, all of his children, whatever, and all it took was an immature teenager to get him tossed in the denied pile. And how could you ever take that conversation seriously? Like, he was so vulgar, so ignorant, and it's just like, okay, you lost your chances, but like, well, of course.
Thankfully, the prison guard realizes how dumb Connor is and went back and pulled the folder right away. Though he was walking down the hallway before the final proof came, which was Mickey simulating sex with his inmate, his cellmate, I should say, while his cellmate is dying.
It's not funny.
It's not funny. Well, it's not funny, but it is funny because it's just pure Mickey, you know, taking advantage of the moment.
I was like, only Mickey would think of that at that moment. The whole entire time, I'm this poor. I kind of felt for him because I was so sad that he took the bullet for Mickey, and this poor guy's bent over, suffering, and Mickey just, saw a window, saw that opportunity, and he took it. So
just to solidify it and put over the top his gay request. And, it shocked me that Mickey didn't even look at the guy, because the guard comes past the cell.
And they didn't say anything to each other.
No,
Bizarre.
They didn't look at each other. I think the guard just took a quick look and then got the heck out of there.
We got you.
Okay, I get it. You're gay. And I'll move you now. Which is great, and it was just in the nick of time because the assassin that was sent to get Mickey was in his cell and had the towels roped and ready, and I think, another minute and Mickey may have no longer been with us.
Yeah.
So it's perfect timing and a great strategy from Ray, and it continues to evolve Mickey and Ray's relationship, even though they had such a minimal amount of communication this episode. Ray, as was pointed out by Ed in a very funny way, is now trying to help out and save and get the guy out of jail who, a year ago, he flew an assassin out 3,000 miles to kill.
Right.
It's quite the turnaround. It
is, but I don't know. That's what makes this show so interesting, Yeah. I'm happy to finally see Mickey and Ray. They're, at first I feel like Ray was kind of hesitant to be on Mickey's team, but now I feel like he's really there. Yeah, he's there, and last week when they had the conversation on the phone and they were holding back tears, I think that was a real breakthrough. Exactly. For both, and the fact that Mickey just took the bullet, from the beginning, I think that really showed Ray what was up. Yeah, it's great. It's great to see the character growing. Mickey is growing, and he wasn't at first, and this was a big concern of mine. And watching the first 2 episodes, when Mick's just up to his old ways, setting up a scam inside of a casino, but now the character has really grown in this season to become a more responsible father. He's understanding what's important. He loves his kids, and he's going to do what he has to do to make sure that they're happy, and it's exciting to see. Right. We're not quite seeing that from some other characters, which we'll talk about, but real quickly before we get into our next topic, I want to remind everybody, please subscribe to us on YouTube and iTunes. We are, again, on Twitter. You use that hashtag ABTV Ray Donovan. We're going to be responding to your comments this week on YouTube. We always like to read what you guys have to say with your predictions and thoughts and feedback on our show. So thank you so much for commenting out there. But we have other characters. Hector and Marisol came back this week. Hector decides quite easily that he's going to now train at the Donovan Fight Club, and Marisol shows up and starts causing problems. As always. I have no sympathy for her character. She aggravates me. Her character, it's just, she's always bringing Hector down no matter what. Yeah. And you can tell he's like fighting to succeed and fighting to get himself right, but she has blackmail on him. She's very troubled, and it's easy to just fall back into that when you're surrounded by it. So
Yeah, I agree with you. And when she showed up to the fight club, I was like, oh, no.
Yeah,
what are you
again,
doing
right?
here? Just go away. But
And poor Daryl, he's like, I have
Yeah.
nothing to do. And, you know, Hector's his, like...
idol.
Exactly. And he just screwed this all up for him,
Yeah.
you know?
And I felt bad for Daryl. Like, kind of like you know, he didn't know where he was going.
Right,
Marisol
but I
gives
think
him-
he was a little naive. It should have, you could tell it was a little fishy from the beginning. She
Yeah.
was just like, I'll be right back. Don't worry about it. And it's just, you just got out of rehab like
Yeah.
5 minutes ago. What do you think is going on?
That's real OG wisdom right there.
It's
That
pretty obvious.
Daryl needs more of in his life. But you're right. You make a good point about Daryl as a character. He's very naive and is trusting of some bad people. He trusted Marisol this episode. He's trusted Mickey in the past. And
Right.
setting up him up for fights and taking his money and, you know, putting him in dangerous situations with the Manassians. So Daryl is very naive. And I think he just wants to please people. And, you know, that's part of the character. And, you know, Pooch Hall, friend of the show, Pooch Hall, we love you out there. He's doing a great job. But I saw him crushed when Hector told him, next time I tell you to do something, you do it.
Right.
And just kind of goes off on Daryl sort of unfairly. I mean, part of Hector's got to realize his sister's crazy. And she's
Too
going to
crazy.
influence people. And it's really not other people's fault that she's a drug addict and needs to get her act together.
Exactly.
But I think she's going to cause problems in the
I
future.
know, and I knew that there's something big's going to happen with them because I knew that they were keeping them around for a while, and now they finally came back in this episode. So, and of course, now Hector's very involved with their fight club, so we had to see what happens with that.
Yeah, and we learned that Hector is training for a rematch, which he had just lost, I think, in episode 2 of this season. We saw him lose, and now he's training, you know, for the rematch to come back. And if you remember, part of the reason why Hector was lost is his mental focus was off. He was focusing on Marisol, and perhaps she was going to do a TV interview where she revealed that they have a sexual relationship and really screw up his career. So that was temporarily delayed, but now she's back. He's pushing her away even more, and we've seen her react poorly whenever he's done that.
Right.
So I do think eventually she's going to get... I'm jumping the gun here with predictions, but I do think eventually she's going to get out in front of some media and say, hey, you know, we're
But do you
more than
know
brother,
something?
sister.
I almost wish that she would just say it already. Just get it over with and deal with whatever it is. I mean, it will be bad for his image and publicity and things like that. But at the end of the day, he's still a fighter. Like, does his personal life really matter?
Yeah, it may help to clear his mind and his focus.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is just get the cats out of the bag. We're good.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how good it will be, but at least it'll be out there. But I could foresee a scene where she reveals that to the world, and he sort of clears his mind and says, okay, like you just said, it's out there. I'm ready to go. I'm going to fight this guy. And I think we'll see him at the end. He's going to win. He's going to reclaim his title. I don't know how it's going to happen.
I think so too. I'm rooting for him.
Yeah, he's a good character. Seems like a really good actor. I'd like to see more from him. You know, strangely, I missed Abby this episode a little bit too.
I know she wasn't involved in this episode at all, and I should have included that in things that I missed in this episode. But Abby was definitely one of them.
Yeah, as much as I have a logic problem with the stage 0 diagnosis, I think the way Paul Malcolmson is handling the theme makes it very interesting to watch, and creates a realness between Ray and Abby in their respective struggles, and it elevates the show, I think, when we see both of them together. The best scenes of this season were, just off the top of my head, would be between Ray and Abby in the grocery store, where they're both talking about the cancer diagnosis and how they're going to fight it, and when Ray comes home drunk and looks at her, and they have a great chemistry. And now that their characters are kind of on the same page, I think it makes it even better. So I really like that one a lot. Dumb Connor, I mean, just what an idiot. Would prefer if he never showed up. Nothing new there at all. This fight scene at the end between the Texan, Ray, Ed, it bothered me a little bit because I wanted to see them shoot each other. You know, I wanted to see Ed and the Texan go at it. And we didn't get a whole lot from the Texan and to hear about his story. And Ray's heard of him, but he doesn't really know who he is, and they don't have any sort of relationship. And part of me said, that could be Ray one day. The way things are going now, Ray is trying to clear his life, but he may be a guy living in Canoga Park mowing his lawn, 20, 30 years from now. So that could be him, and he's dying alone in a warehouse with a gunshot wound. What was your reaction to that scene?
Well, first of all, I didn't even realize the Texan had been shot until after the fact.
Really?
Yeah, I thought he was just going to get the body, but Ray was like, where is he? And then I realized that he was dying. But I agree with you. I think I would like to know a little bit more about the Texan, just because I miss sort of the flashbacks between Ezra and Ray and their life before what we've been seeing throughout the show, because you can see the things that contributed to Ray's character now. And obviously the Texan had a very similar life, except Javi said he made it clear that the Texan was for more of the dirty work, and Ezra used him to protect Ray. So I would like to understand his background a little bit more, just so I can see the dynamic between the three of them. Because then we could probably, get to know Ray a little bit more. Yeah,
I think that'd be really great. And the character we don't know that he died. We just know that he was shot twice, and there were 2 bullet holes. Maybe it was a little bit too dark for you to see, but he definitely got shot twice by Ed.
For sure.
But Ed got shot too.
But Ed's,
a couple places.
He's chilling.
It was weird that Ed walked by the Texan to go and see the body in the back where Ray was. Ray was in the freezer or something and pulling off the drywall. But Ed had to cross in front of the Texan, a guy he just had a gun battle with.
So bizarre.
And just sort of ignored him, which was a little strange. I would have thought there would maybe have been a look or a stare or something there between the two. But I thought it was really good. I thought it was a dark way to end the episode, and keeps me, coming back for more and wanting to see what's going to happen next week between these two characters, because Ray's got a lot to handle. And, now that Mickey is tenuously safe, Ray's main focus right now is making sure that the Russians don't find out that he killed Belikov. His family is safe. There's a lot still left to be done.
I wanted to also bring up something I'm confused about.
Yeah.
So do you remember the scene, the woman who's in the wheelchair with the blonde hair?
Yes.
Who is that?
I think that was just another member of the Manassian family who,
And now she's running show. Because I was like, that other woman had to have died. Her throat was cut, whatever.
Course,
so it definitely wasn't her.
Yeah.
But, maybe just a woman similar taking her spot.
I think that was, and because nobody else was there, all that she knows is what's written in the newspaper, that Mickey Donovan went and took the fall for the murders. So even if Mickey eventually does get out of jail in the 3 months, or he gets off right away, whatever it works out with the DA, he's still going to be in danger, because the Manassians are still out there. They know that Mickey Donovan has been charged with the murders. So I don't think the danger is going to be done even if he gets out of jail.
Right.
I think he's going to be in trouble either way. I'm having bad thoughts about Mickey. I'm worried about him for the rest of the season. Because when you take on this type of level of responsibility, which he's done in an admirable way, it's alerted, as you wisely point out, it's alerted the Manassians to who it was that actually killed 8 of their family members. And I don't think that ever gets forgotten.
I mean, how could it? It's pretty, it's just, Mickey's still in danger. He was just in extra danger, being confined to a small space where he doesn't necessarily have any control. But, it's just, once you're out there in the world, it's just a different situation, not necessarily a safer one. Yeah,
that's absolutely true. Another character we didn't see tonight was Maria. She's been gone for a couple episodes now, dealing with postpartum issues and depression. what do you think about Maria? How are we going to get her back in the fold here?
I just think she'll probably come to her senses at some point.
Yeah.
You know, but what do you think? So you know how Bunchy was kind of the only time we really saw Abby was when she brought the baby back.
Yeah.
And Bunchy was like, you know, you think that you could watch her for a little bit longer? And she's like, you know, overnight or... And he's like, maybe a little bit longer. What was he trying to say? Take my baby or what?
Yeah, I just think, you know, maybe he's thinking the baby needs their mother. And he said in one of the lines tonight, he said, "You're the best mother I know," which is kind of sad because maybe that's the only mother you know, or you know a couple mothers.
I think that it might be, you know, one of the few.
Yeah,
so.
Small pond there for the amount of mothers that he's comparing her against. But, you know, she's obviously not in the right physical or emotional place to take care of a baby. But I think, you know, Bunchy's reaching out to her because really she's the only woman that he can trust. He made her the godmother of his child, and you know, I think that's what's going on there ultimately. Abby is not the right choice to be a godmother to watch over a kid with what's going on with her, but I think that's all that Bunchy has.
Yeah, he's just desperate, or
yeah, I mean, he's totally desperate. He's alone, and I really feel bad for Bunchy. Bunchy overcame a lot of issues last season with his, you know, priest abuse and opened up to Maria, and now she just straight up left him. And I understand that there are things as a man that I will never understand about postpartum depression and pregnancy, but I'm kind of like you. I want her to get over it. I want her to get back, and you know, so that her and Bunchy can work things out. There's enough between the two characters and with Bunchy and his past that you don't have to manufacture a distance. It's already there even when they're near each other. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I'm hoping that she comes back soon. Maybe she can come back as a wrestler like she was before.
She comes back and better than ever.
Yeah, back and better than ever, wearing a mask, jumps off the top rope and hugs Bunchy, and they're all okay.
Yeah, that would be the ideal situation.
Yeah. So let's hope that she comes back out there. So let us know what you think about what the plans are for Maria for the rest of the season. Use the hashtag out there, ABTV Ray Donovan. Any other thoughts that you had about this episode? I know we're a little bit early, but predictions always loom. Was there anything else we didn't cover that you wanted to talk about?
You know, I think that we got all the main points going.
Good.
Well, except I did want to bring up another huge storyline that was excluded from this episode was Sonia. Like, what's up with her?
Yeah, no Sonia right now. Obviously, she's not done yet. I think, as I read during social media shout-outs, a great listener prediction that the Belikov murder and Kavitsky's knowledge of that is going to be very big. And plus, I mean, her and Ray hooked up, so there's it's not just a one and done, I don't think.
Right.
I don't think that the one night stand is happening anymore for Ray. He's past that point. But yeah, I think there's more to come from her. We just had a showcase episode for her last week, and I think there's a lot more to come. We have 5 episodes left. This was episode 7 of 12. So we're going to be really moving at a big pace here, and I think she's going to play a large role in it. Do you think the same thing?
I agree, yeah.
So she's got a lot coming our way. Well, let's move into our final segment of the show, as always, where we put ourselves on the line to look stupid down the road.
AfterBuzz TV predictions.
That's right. So, what are you predicting for next episode? Further down the road? What do you see happening here?
I mean, I have to admit, I watched the little, clip for next week. So Connor's going to catch a beating.
Okay. Oh, no.
As I said he would.
Spoiler alert for people out there. Because we don't want anyone to think.
No, it's, the little thing that they show you about next episode. Nothing bad, yeah.
Yeah.
But
some listeners actually don't watch that.
Purposely?
So that they can be surprised next week.
I'm sorry if I spoiled it for you.
No, it's cool.
But, Ray finally addresses the gun situation with Connor, which he should have. So I'm excited to see how that unfolds, Other predictions... something's going to happen with Mickey. I think it's too easy for him to just be moved into a different wing and that's it, you know?
Yeah.
That he's going to come across another difficult, unsafe situation. So we'll see about that.
I think Mickey's gonna get let out of jail. I think it's going to...
You know, that guy seems to be... He said like 3 months or so, but I feel like they can make something happen there.
Yeah, the DA is going to get Mickey out, I believe. And I think that's when the real danger is going to come. I think he could be out of jail next episode.
Could be.
Because this Ed issue is done. The body is found in the restaurant of Reginald Veljohnson, who I hope we get to see a whole lot more of the rest of the season, just because I love Carl Winslow. And, I mean, he was in Die Hard and a bunch of other movies, Ghostbusters too. So he's just such a great actor. So I hope we see a lot more of him. But yeah, I think Mickey's out of jail. I think Ray is not going to clear everything up. By the end of the season. I just see a parallel between him and the Texan. I see Ray in the future with the Texan. Somebody who just doesn't have everything resolved, and his ghosts will always be there.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll ever be able to fully shut the door on his past.
I mean, it's just too much. I'd never see him being completely out of the game, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we'll see a lot more of Abby next week. She needs to either have the surgery or not. I think, even though I've ranted about this a long time, I really think she will go ahead and have the surgery ultimately. She'll have, the double mastectomy and go under the knife. And there's going to be a real life or death feel to these last 5 episodes. I think the tension is going to heighten. And, as soon as Mickey gets out, the Manassians are going to be back after him. Ray's going to be defending him against all thought that we've ever seen of Ray feeling for his dad. Now, all of a sudden, he's a protector.
I know.
And it's been such a turnaround and fun to watch to see, father and son connecting there. Just one last, I will predict that Connor is going to be, he's going to screw up again. I think even if what you're saying is true, that Ray and Connor will have a conversation together, I just think he doesn't listen, and he's a teenager and wants to be his own man and wants to prove something, and he's going to do something else with that gun. And this time it's not going to be something that you can just get away with.
Right.
I think Ray will fix it with the neighbor. He's going to give the neighbor some cash or make that go away somehow.
Yeah.
But this won't be the end for Connor.
Oh, of course not. I see him getting into some trouble, so.
Yeah. He's, let's hope so. I really hope he goes to jail. For a long, long time.
To jail.
Goodbye. Goodbye forever.
Bye.
Dumb Connor.
Poor Connor.
Just kidding. All right. Well, any other predictions before we close out?
That's it.
Cool. Thank you all so much for listening this week. We will be back at 10 p.m. Pacific time next Monday night, every Monday night. Until then, we have been Olivia Gabaree.
Bye, guys. I'll see you next week. And once again, don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Twitter, @thereal_O_G.
And I am Frank Maiorana. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Let's Go Frankham. Thank you all so much for listening. Be sure to comment out there on our YouTube page, on Twitter. Use that hashtag ABTV Ray Donovan. We'll see you next week. Go out, be blessed.
Bye.
See you back soon.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.